Now listen, boys and girls, right? If you live in the UK, unless you've been living under a rock, I can cover up the logo of this bag and you'll know exactly what it is. But for the uninitiated, it's Greggs. Greggs the baker. Bakers? Beggs the Beggs? Greggs the bakery chain. And if you live in America or some other country where they don't have it, the best way I can describe it is they're a bakery chain. They've got thousands of shops all across the country. There's one on every street corner, sometimes two, sometimes three, right? There's a Greggs everywhere. It's cheap, warming face fodder. It's not gourmet food. It's not meant to be gourmet food. They fill you up, taste good. Greggs is all right. And today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna deconstruct this puppy, right? This is the Festive Bake. Comes out every year at Christmas. There it is, all right? We're gonna open this up, see what's inside, and then I'm going to make my version, Adam's Festive Bake. The Festive Bake isn't my favourite item. I think they're just okay. They're not going to blow your mind, they're not going to rock your world. They're just alright. So I think I can do better. I think I can improve on this and make it spectacular. So that's what we're going to attempt to do today. But before we do the usual thing, like, share and subscribe. When you do subscribe, hit the bell icon, activate all notifications. So every time I upload a video, YouTube tells you. But anyway, come down here. We're going to dissect this up and have a look inside. Here it is, the Festive Bake in all its wonderful glory. I had to get this hot and fresh. I had to wait for them. 15 minutes I had to wait. The girl in the shop that served me as well was really nice, really pleasant. So, Greggs, if you're watching, the store on Granby Street in Leicester, give her a pay rise. She's brilliant. So, got my knife here. We're going to have a look inside in a second. But you can sort of see, well, if I bring you in a bit closer, it's got like this sort of crumb on the top. Now, I had to do a bit of digging around, right? Because the Greggs website, I couldn't find it, doesn't give you all the ingredients that's in their products. It'll kind of give you like a vague description, but no sort of broken down, this is what's inside it, so I can kind of recreate it. So what I did is I looked on the ingredients list for the Greggs exclusive Iceland range. But let's have a look inside. Let's open this puppy up nice and carefully. But I want to keep the pastry intact as well, so I can use that as a guide to when I make my own. Here we go, here we go. Well, doesn't that look appetising? So as you can see, look, there's this kind of mushy paste in there. Now, I know that's chicken, it's not turkey. Well, I'm going to use turkey. You can see there's cranberry in there. You can really smell the sage. I think there's quite a lot of sage in there. And I find with these that the dominant flavour is sage. There doesn't appear to be a lot of cranberry in there. There is a bit, so I think I'm going to increase the amount of cranberry that I put in mine. There's bacon in there, and that looks like sage and onion stuffing. Yeah, you get a fair amount of filling in there. It's not like they're not scrimping on it, but it doesn't look the most appetising. So yeah, that's the inside of a Festive Bake. I'm going to make one, but better. I'm going to do a bit of prep here. First thing I'm going to do is get a red onion. Why do they call them red onions? Well, it's purple, clearly. Right, so I'm going to peel 2 of these onions, get them chopped up. See you in a second. And I need to get these onions caramelised. And I'm going to use some lard, because why not? So I'll get a knob of that in there. In it goes. Get the heat on low, add the red onions. Now it looks like a lot, but you've got to remember they're going to cook down and sort of shrink in size quite considerably, so that'll probably be all right for 4. And if I don't use all of it, I don't use all of it, because a lot of the recipes on my channel are developed. Okay, I make them once, sometimes twice, so I know that they're right when I do the video. This, I'm just kind of winging it. It might turn out like a pile of shit, but you know, you've got to try these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to caramelise these. So that's going to take like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, nice and slow. So we get a nice sort of jammy consistency. You might think an hour is a long time to sit around tending to some onions. Get yourself a glass of wine and absorb yourself in the moment. Think about it, it's Christmas, relax. Think about all those wonderful presents that you're not going to get. Think about all those Christmas cards that you haven't written out yet because you're lazy as f***. The gifts that you're supposed to be buying for people that you're absolutely going to leave until the last minute. Stare into the abyss as you think about and contemplate your life choices. Think about what Christmas means to you. For me, it's getting pissed, watching TV and filling my face with cheese. Your Christmas might be roasting your chestnuts over a warm fire. Get old Cliff Richard on, a bit of Elton John, a bit of Johnny Mathis, when a child was born. Don't want a copyright claim. Get into the festive spirit, guys.
Dinner was full!
So the caramelised onions then, they're almost there. You need another sort of 5-10 minutes. What I'm going to add is about a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, and that's going to provide a bit of acidity. I've also made up some packet stuffing. Right, you know how to make packet stuffing. We're not going to use gourmet, homemade, delicious stuffing for this. Just your common or garden packet stuffing is going to be fine, I think. You can use Paxo, other brands are available, and that's what I'm using. I'm using Sainsbury's Taste the Difference. Got wild sage, roasted onion, shallot and lemon. That's what I'm using. Use whatever stuffing you like. I'll be right back.
Can't believe you're actually standing here in my living room, Eddie.
Right, so the caramelised onions are pretty much there. They might look burnt, they're not. But what I'm going to do now, is I've got some cranberry sauce. In the ones from Greggs, it didn't really appear to be much in there. So I'm going to sort of beef it up a bit more. So I'm going to go in with 1, 2, say 3 dessert spoons of cranberry sauce. All I'm going to do is I'm going to melt that through. There we go, that's our cranberry caramelised onion component, which I'm going to get out onto a plate. On they go. And spread that out, cool it down. Meat. Let's talk about the meat aspect. So in the Greggs Festive Bake, they don't actually use turkey, I believe. I looked on the ingredients for the Iceland one and it says it uses chicken. So we're going to level it up. We're going to go with turkey. There we go. I would say we're going to use probably half, aren't we? Per one, so 2 is going to be fine. And I'm going to dice this fairly chunky, but not too big, because remember it's going into a bake. So there's our turkey, all nicely diced up. We're going to add some bacon as well, because why the hell not? I've got some good quality bacon, because I don't know, some of the shop bought stuff can be really naff. We'll go with 6 rashers. This is streaky bacon, because I think the fat content is going to help keep it moist. Cut them into little slices, little lardons. So I've got my bacon there. Oh, get away. Just going straight in the pan. I'm going to get this onto a medium sort of high heat. Because listen, bacon isn't bacon until it's crispy. Those weirdos that like floppy bacon. By putting it in a cool pan first, you're going to render the fat out. Which is what we want. We want to cook this in its own fat. Get it nice and crispy. So that's going to take a few minutes. Back in a minute. Okay, so there's our bacon. Nice and crisp, not too much. Get that onto a plate. Then into the pan again with our turkey. And what I'm going to do with the turkey is I'm not going to cook it like 100% all the way. Okay, I'm going to take it to about 80-90% of the way, because I'm going to finish it off in the oven when they bake. What I do want is some colour on this turkey, because if you look at the filling of the Greggs one, look, kind of a bit beige. Just been flopped in there with no care and love. And we're going to give love to our festive bakes. Right, so I've browned off the turkey. So I'm going to add that to the stuffing mix. Now you'll notice that this mix is quite dry still, okay? You're thinking that's not really going to make for a moist, delicious festive bake, is it now? I've got a little trick up my sleeve, a little idea. So I've made up some gravy, just normal packet chicken gravy. That is the one that I use, Schwartz. I quite like these ones actually, in a pinch, they're really quite good. And what I'm going to do is just add a few spoonfuls at a time. What I did though, because it said to use 300 ml of water, I actually used 250 just to make it a little bit thicker. Okay, I'm going to start adding that, just a few tablespoons at a time, and start to mix that in, just to kind of loosen up the mixture a bit. I'm going to add just a pinch of salt. I don't need an awful lot because there's salt in that gravy, salt in the bacon that we're going to add, and salt in that stuffing as well, but just a pinch. So that is our mixture done. I think that's pretty much everything all kind of prepped really. So I'm going to wait for that to cool a bit. But in the meantime, we'll cut our pastry. So what we need to do is make our pastry squares, things, in order to hold this delicious filling that we've made. Always make sure your pastry is cold as well. It just makes it easier to work with. Oh look, there's a hole in this bag. Bit of flour, get that down, and then I'm going to unroll it. It's kind of cracking a bit, but we will manage. But we need 4 bottoms and 4 tops, don't we? So what I'm going to do is use this one as a guide. So I'm just going to cut it out just like so. I'm not going to be like super fussy. I might make it just a touch bigger. So there's our bottoms or tops, whatever we decide. I'm just going to do the same with the other sheet. Okay, you don't need to watch me do that because it's boring.
Later.
So here I have my squares, sheets of puff pastry. So with the base, what I'm going to do is dock it, which basically means just kind of poke it with a fork. This stops it rising too much because otherwise you'll end up with like a great big flipping balloon. So now we can start assembling. We can make this puppy. So what I'm going to do is start with a layer of our caramelised onions, balsamic vinegar and cranberry sauce. And I'm going to spread that out. Make sure you leave a bit of a border because obviously we're going to put the pastry on top. We need to seal it. So there's some of our caramelised onions. Then some of our stuffing and turkey filling. Get some of that on there. Oh, this is fit. And then finally on the top, some of our crispy bacon. Taking my pastry brush, get some of that egg. Just kind of brush it around the edge. Then I'm going to place our lid on top. There we go. And then I'm going to take my fork and just crimp the edges. I don't think Greggs do this. They must have some sort of weird machine that does all that, but these are handmade. Now on the Greggs, it's got this sort of hashed pattern across the top. I'm not going to do it all that fancy. What I am going to do is just poke a little hole in the top, just let out any steam, and just, I don't know, how shall I do it? I'll go that way, go diagonal. Just a few little score marks just across the top. It almost looks professional, doesn't it? It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Brush the top with some egg, more egg. Now if we go back to the beginning, remember on the top there's like this crumb, okay, which is like derivatives, cheese powder, onion powder, potato powder, all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to add all of that because I don't think it needs it. But what I am going to do is add a nice savoury punch. And I've got some pecorino cheese. I've got my microplane here. I'm just going to get some of that on the top. And I'm also going to finish it with an accent of sage. Just a little floof of sage. There we go. Can you guys hear this mentalness that I have to put up with? I'm so sorry, it's so loud. The floor is vibrating, it's that loud. I can feel it going up through my feet. It's now 8 o'clock at night. Well, it's actually gone 8. I know people flipping say we stop moaning, but imagine me right now, living in a building site. Right, hopefully you can hear me. I'm just gonna scoop this up. Should have floured the board really, shouldn't I? Anyway, that is going on my tray. I'm only going to bake 2 off, but I need to make the rest of these. I need to make 4 more. So listen, come back in a minute. There are my 2 slid down. Get back there. So those are the 2 that I'm going to bake off. The other 2 are in the freezer. And yeah, we've ended up with some filling left over, which I'll put in a freezer bag, stick in the freezer. I'll use another time. We had a little bit of the caramelised onion left, which I'm going to put in this dish. I'll have with cheese and biscuits. It's not a problem. This is why recipe development is important, to me anyway. Firstly, because, it means you get the flavours right, you can adjust the taste, adjust the seasonings, but it also means you get your measurements right. You get an idea and you go, right, that's what I'm going to go with. But the idea of developing a recipe is you tweak it to get it exact so that when you make it at home, you're not left over with some of that onion chutney, well, jam stuff. I've got a bit of the gravy left over. That's fine. I'll stick that in the fridge. I'll dip some bread in it tomorrow for lunch. One thing I forgot to show you as well is when I was assembling the festive bakes, when I put the turkey and stuffing mixture on the top, I'd added like a couple of spoonsful of gravy just for that extra Yes, what you said. That extra pizzazz, that extra bit of moisture. So I've had to clean down and wait for the oven to preheat, and then we'll get them in and bake them. Right, so they're in, they're baking. I'm probably going to give those 20 to 25 minutes. I think that's going to be plenty of time for them to bake off. They're going to rise up, be all nice and delicious. And hopefully they'll kind of resemble this, but better inside, because that looks like something, oh, I nearly dropped it. That looks like something Mog threw up the other day. Speaking of which, here he is. I'll get you some supper in a bit. Off you go. Run, dear boy. I'll see you in a bit. Now I have to say, these have turned out, well, they look fabulous. Look at those. You could sell those in a chain bakery and charge money for them. Now, we all know, don't we? Okay, I'm going to leave these for like 5-10 minutes to cool down, because it's going to be hotter than Satan's bum crack, as we know. Because if I bite into that now, my face will fall off and I'll need to go to the hospital. So I'm going to leave it 5-10 minutes to cool down, and then we'll have a look inside. But they look pretty good, look impressive. There it is then, the Adam Festive Bake. Let's give it a try. It's still going to be quite hot, isn't it? Oh no, it's not too bad. Go in. It's still red hot. I've hit on something here. I have hit on something here. It's glorious. I should start selling these. I'll make a bloody fortune. It's a lot more flakier than the Greggs one, but it's 100 times better. I'm not even just saying that, it really is. Sometimes you do things on a whim and they work out, and this has worked out tremendously. That is absolutely wonderful. It's like you've got Christmas dinner in a pastry parcel. Super savoury, then you've got like this burst of sweetness from those onions and that cranberry sauce. You have to make these. You have to. Well, I mean, it's it though, hasn't it? I can't eat that and then go back to that. I kind of liked the Greggs Festive Bake. It was all right. It wasn't the best, it was okay. But now I've had that, I can't go back to that. Just goes to show you, doesn't it, really, when you make stuff yourself, you can just make something far, far superior. And I haven't used like homemade gourmet ingredients. We use packet stuffing. We also use packet gravy, but look what we've achieved. Okay, so it doesn't always mean that you have to go out and make everything yourself from scratch. You know, I could have made my own pastry, I could have made my own gravy. I could have made my own stuffing. But I think for things like this, you know, you can get away with sort of shop bought packet stuff. End result though, smashing. But listen, there we go. Adam's Festive Bake. Got a bauble there, got some holly, that's meant to be holly. But there we go. That's how to make a festive bake, Adam style. But listen, if you enjoyed the video, do the usual thing, like, share and subscribe. Comment down below as well, because as I've said before, that is my favourite part of all of this. Obviously teaching you how to cook, but I love talking to you in the comments. I love it. Because I know it's cliche, but you are like family. You are. I know people like to say that. I know YouTubers say it like, oh, my subscribers are like family, I love them so much. But I do. You guys are my family. And I don't know what I'd do without you, to be fair. Thanks again for watching this moron make something in this kitchen. Thankfully the noise has stopped. I can calm down now.